I cried like 5 times while watching this movie, man. My eyes were burning by the end of it. Her husband's like super gentle and like loving and fun and like a vibrant, like childlike energy. And she goes, I'm gonna fight like you. She starts like fighting people but with love, and it changes like the fight. He goes, we just need to be kind to each other. That's it. That's all it is. And I think there's a tremendous power in kindness, because kindness opens up more choice for you.
In the movie with Evelyn, like at the beginning of the movie, she's a bit like, oh, my life's crap, and it's a bit like doom and gloom. She's got like all of those bills that she's trying to sort out, and the shop might get closed down. And then when she starts to see like, oh, none of this really matters, like her brain just opens up and she starts seeing possibility in everything.
Who's she being for the tax lady? She's getting fed up with him. She's like, look guys, this gotta stop, etc, etc. By the end of the movie, she's connected to her, because who Evelyn is being is totally different. And the woman who's investigating them stops the police from doing anything about it, because who Evelyn is being is someone who's creating connection rather than using circumstance as an excuse to limit their power in the world. The definition of power is how much choice do you have available to you.
So what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Episode 2.
Welcome forward. How dare you?
Excuse me. Welcome forward to episode 2 of Nerd Life Coaches. Do you want to actually articulate why we say welcome forward?
Yeah, that's a good point actually. So there's no such thing as the past. That was summarizing.
Wow. Right.
How about that for an intro?
Oh, that bloody hell! I don't know where to go from there. I think we're done. Thank you for joining us today. So yeah, man, this is a podcast where me and Sachin both break down some of the incredible learnings that we've had from some of the nerdy stuff that we like, from video games to movies to anime to comics to a bunch of other stuff that I've probably left out. And there's so many profound learnings that have really helped us through our lives, and helped us to take those learnings and embody them and live them. And then also we use a lot of them in our coaching sessions. Like I'm always talking about like Marvel references or like some kind of random anime Naruto reference or something. So that's basically what we're doing here, is we're going to be breaking down some of our favorite things that we've got amazing lessons from.
And one of my favorite things to do is called the Mortal Kombat exercise. As you can see, I'm rocking the shit out of this t-shirt today. So the Mortal Kombat exercise I do with my clients. Actually, you know what? I just had a good idea. One day we're going to do an episode where I do the Mortal Kombat exercise with one of my clients live, and we'll record it. So
we'll live stream it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you in suspense about what the hell is the Mortal Kombat exercise and why do people pay you to do it with them. Question answer coming soon.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Good hook there. So the big question on the table is, do you want to explain why we're having to do this remotely rather than doing it in person? Like, we're only 2 episodes in and we've already gone to remote recording, so I think we should explain why.
You better get used to it, because I'm probably going to be out here a lot more often than I thought. So I'm in Arizona right now. I've got my first session with the ultimate coach, Steve Hardison, on Monday. And this guy he's, as the name would suggest, he's the ultimate coach. So I don't even know how to give him an intro, but I would suggest read the book. This book was written about him. It's not by him, which is, I think that says a lot first. And yeah, you can't do any of the sessions on Zoom. You can't call him to do sessions or anything. You have to fly to Arizona to do the sessions, and it's $10,000 for 2 hours, $200K for a year. I'm considering doing a year with him at some point, so I thought a good start would be to do the first session. So I got my first session on Monday, and I'm here until Thursday next week.
Awesome, man. And what is it about Steve that makes you want to work with him?
It's a great question. So every time I've talked to him, I've experienced a big shift in something. And also I read the book, The Prosperous Coach, back in 2016. And I remember distinctly Steve Chandler, one of the authors of the book, he mentioned his coach, the incredible Steve Hardison. He kept talking about him. So I started looking into him and just heard these epic stories about how he's coached people. And I was like, wow, like this is giving me permission to be the coach I want to be. And I that's where all of this has come from. We coach in a way, me, you, all of the guys in the Lamron community, we coach in a way that's totally the opposite of normal. And that's what I see with Steve Hardison. He once put a client in a headlock. Um, and the client said, even though he was choking the life out of me, I still felt loved while he was doing it, which is quite crazy. He's very high energy like myself. Like I feel like there's some similarities between us, and also like wanting to work with him to show me what's possible. Like I'm already performing at an incredible level, and I'm very happy with how I've been performing. My life looks exactly the way I would want it to look. I don't see anything that I'm really desperately wanting. So I'm going to him on Monday to have all of that illusion shattered and be like, well, actually, Sachin, you're playing quite small. There's a bunch of things that are available to you, which would be very
Mm.
interesting. So
And
that, yeah.
have you got an idea then on what like you wanna talk about or use the session for? I mean, if you don't want to share it, obviously you don't have to. But just curiously, like, do you have an idea of it? I'd hope so for the effort you've gone into being there.
Kind of and kind of not. I'm just open to seeing what unfolds. But one of the things I want to talk about with Steve is, yeah, like who would I need to be to create this impact that I want to have on the world? So I want to make my own anime. One day we'll be doing breakdown episodes of my anime and yours, graphic novels, movies. I want to create these things at some point in the future. um, who would I need to be to do that? Also, like my dating life has always been the area that I get the most gold out of being coached. So I just thought I'd ask him some things about that. Yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, I don't really have anything planned.
Nice. Sounds fun, man. And we'll be doing another recording on the flip side of the session, so I'm sure we'll be experiencing a very different Sachin on the other side of it.
It probably
I'm
will be. There's
yeah.
there's there's this other thing. So to describe the ultimate coach, I like to use this reference. This isn't just exclusive to Steve. People say it about me and you. What I'm about to describe. They say it in their own way about you and I. And we both have clients who've said to us, mate, every single time I come here, like
Mm,
something huge happens. So there's this part in Dragon Ball Z where Krillin goes to see Guru, the guy who lives on planet Namek, right? And Guru puts his hand on Krillin's head and unlocks some powers that Krillin has had deep dormant inside him, and then just opened up. That's what I feel like going to Steve is
mm,
like. And it's not just exclusive to him. This happens when you meet great coaches and they unlock something inside of you. Sometimes it takes an hour, sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes a year. Who knows? But this is what I'm one of the reasons I'm going to see him, because I keep hearing people say this. I'm like, I want that.
mm. Yeah, and actually, I don't. I'm going to touch on this a bit later, right? Because we're going to break down everything, everywhere, all at once, a bit later on in this episode. But there's like an infinite potential that's in all of us, and it's like I feel like what happens to me when I receive coaching, either with you or with Ankush or with our mentor Keith or other coaches that I've worked with, it's like there's that moment of them putting their hand on my head and just like unleashing a bit of that infinite potential. And it's really funny because I had a conversation earlier today with this lovely lady, and she said that it was like having mental floss. So instead of dental floss, where you clean out your teeth, it was mental floss, and she was like doing this between her ears, and I thought that was really funny. And it's kind of a bit like that, isn't it? It's like you go and have a conversation, and you come out like feeling mentally more like, I don't know, fresh and minty.
What a great way to describe what we do.
It's
I'm
so
the
good.
mental floss coach. I'll get your ears cleaned.
She started calling me Mental Floss Manzi. It was so funny, man.
That's
Oh,
a
it was
great
so good.
nickname.
Yeah, I'll take it. I said, that's a new one, but I'll take it. I might add it to my email signature.
That's a good
Oh,
one,
man.
actually.
That is a good
Was
one,
it
right?
MFM?
MFM, yeah. What does that stand for? So, what else has been going on for you this week apart from you left? Well, as of recording, you left for Arizona yesterday. And what else has been happening this week? Like, what's been aguaning for you?
So I wrote a lot of my book. I would say I'm almost halfway through. Yeah, so I told you, Rajni, and a couple of other people, the manuscript will be done. My first draft will be done before the end of December. So by January, I'll have something to work and edit, and I really want to have it published and done by March, so I can give it to people at my next intensive. Um, which will be a lot of fun. And I haven't committed to doing that yet because I don't know how long the editing process is going to take. I don't know. I don't want to rush it. Right? Like, I don't want to put off the writing process. Be like, oh, I need you to have time to know. You don't need to have time to do that. Just whack it out, see what comes out. That was a lot of fun. I wrote like almost 10,000 words on the plane.
Wow.
So what I want to do is take that forward. I'm here. Like I haven't really got stuff scheduled, so I'm just going to be spending time with writing, and eating.
Nice.
Tomorrow, my friend Ashton August. Okay, let me tell you something about Ashton. This woman is incredible. I met her back in 2015. No, was it 2016 or 17? Where I was started a blog on Tumblr, and I wrote a few articles for her, and she was like, "Sachin, everything you've written for us, it always gets really good feedback." We developed a cool relationship where like I would write for her. We did a couple of podcasts together, and her business expanded massively. Like I don't want to use the word blew up because it wasn't like an overnight thing, but her website is called Yogi Approved, and
Oh,
they're all about yoga, and she practices, she lives this stuff. She's not just like in it and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try it out. She really lives it. Her and her husband Tyler, they are incredible, and what they've built together is really inspiring. They went through a lot of ups and downs, and during COVID a lot of stuff changed for them. So I'm meeting her tomorrow. We met once in Mexico last year, for the first time in person, which was cool. And now I'm going to meet them again tomorrow, and we're going to go and explore the desert, go for a hike. I'm going to take the
sick.
camera with me. Yeah. Go see some red rocks and some cacti. um, yeah, it's gonna be cool. And the one thing I love about Ashton is I feel like in the space of yoga generally, just like coaching, really, there can be a lot of pretending or like a lot of trying to come across a certain way. And Ashton's not like that. Like she's like us, Like I'd love when she comes to London ever, whenever that is.
Mm.
We'll do a podcast with her, or maybe we'll get her remote like this. But yeah, like she's cool people, man. She's really she's inspired the hell out of me with what she's built, and her relationship with her husband seems like it's grown stronger over time through building this
Mm.
business together. When I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and myself included, struggle with relationships and building a business, for them it's like brought them closer together, and they're just they're in my eyes they're role models for what's possible when people love each other and they want to build something together. So I'm meeting her tomorrow. I'm planning, excuse me, I'm planning to meet with Chris Doris, who's the host of the podcast Tough Talks, and
Ooh.
one of the most successful coaches that goes into corporate companies and create some massive impact with them. And Alex's favorite, Eric Lofholm, who I'm really looking forward to meeting, bro. I don't know if it will map out with timing, but he said he's available on Wednesday morning, so I might be meeting with him. And I watched a bit of football today, which was
Ooh, check
unlikely.
you out.
Yeah, yeah. When I say a bit, that might be a bit generous. The football was on. I think Portugal was playing Korea or something like that, and
Mm.
I was watching it for like 5 minutes, standing there with my arms crossed because I was waiting for something. And there was these old American guys sitting in front of the TV. The TV was like four big TVs put together to make one, and it
Okay,
was put up on the wall. And I was standing there watching it, and I found myself appreciating football like I have been in the apartment with you, which was really really strange. Like I don't know. I haven't had that experience before. That was really strange. And I stood there. I was waiting for the lady to give me this.
yeah. Ooh, lemon
Yes, Alex. What do I use lemon for?
deodorant.
Yes, I asked the lady to hook me up with some lemons, and while I was waiting for, her, I was watching the football, and just yeah, it made me reflect on something. I have no idea how much I can change. and that just like, I never thought there would be a time where I'm sitting there appreciating football or standing there appreciating football. Like I was like, oh, that's a good pass. Oh, what a great ball in and whatever. And I was doing it with you in the apartment the other day. Like, yeah. So what's been going on for me this week is a lot of revelation unfolding and a lot of surprising myself at how much I've changed. And also the overwhelming amount of love that I'm getting on Facebook and Instagram about how I'm living my life. It's fucking cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
man. Yeah, it's awesome.
What's been going on for you this week,
Oh
Chef?
man, I've really been living into this commitment to I am effortless abundance and creativity, and I'm really seeing it. Like I made a few commitments with you last week. Like I wanted to, start learning my Italian more regularly. I wanted to write again. So you making such a bold statement about your book and wanting to have it completed by January, well, the manuscript completed by January. I think I said to you, I was like, oh man, maybe I should start writing mine as well, because I put out a book in 2020 called The Search for Clarity, which was a collection of writings that I've had, and all based on like learnings and insights and wisdom and experiences and stuff that had happened in my life that had seen me change dramatically from like being very depressed and unsatisfied and unhappy to like living life with more positivity and more of an adventurous outlook. So I wrote that book in 2020, and then I've been sitting on this idea for a while of like, I've got like 270 something podcast episodes on my podcast in the moment, and a lot of those are like shorter 15-minute snippets, which are like solo episodes where I explore some of my learnings that have happened recently. And I was like, I could just like get those episodes transcribed, and then basically the content of those is ready to go for a book. I just need to edit them and make it presentable as chapters rather than like direct transcriptions. So I'm in the process at the minute of like I've had 30 of those episodes, I think it is, transcribed, and I'm just in the process of like editing them down so they make sense as like a chapter or a book basically. And then once I've done that, I'll see where I'm at, and I'll probably have to do quite a bit more editing. But so I've been doing a bit of that this week, and that's just been happening really easily. Like it's really effortless, effortless abundance and creativity. And the other thing is like I'm just having so much more fun like in conversations with people, like the lovely lady that I mentioned earlier who said the mental floss thing. Like we were having such a jokes time on the call, and like it was just like I was obviously like serving her and coaching her and stuff, but we were just having a good time, and it was a very like effortless approach to it. And so I've been like properly leaning into that this week. Like that's been the thing that's been forefront of my mind, is like, how can I live into this as like a possibility for me, and what can happen if I do. And I'm really seeing big shifts, man. I've had like some of the most amazing conversations, that like coaching conversations I've had this week. Like it's just been incredible. The way that I'm just like in the flow of like writing and learning my Italian and stuff that I want to do. Plus, I'm banging out Naruto for fun, man. I'm watching like 5-6 episodes a day, man. I'm watching like 2 episodes with my lunch, like another 4 in the evening. The other day I was chilling, having my breakfast, and I just whacked an episode on. Like it's jokes. And the other day, right? So I found a cleaner for our apartment, and she's this Brazilian girl. She's like this tiny little Brazilian girl, and she doesn't speak any English. So I was speaking to her on like Google Translate, but I was having such a jokes time of it. Like, again, it was just like I was living into like that could have been like, oh God's sake, like really annoying. I can't talk to her. Like it's a bit long. I have to type everything out, and then she has to type everything out. But I was just having a jokes time with it. So like stuff like that is really, really been happening for me this week, which has been fun, man. It's been a good week, and rather quiet in the apartment, if I must say.
I wonder why that is.
Oh, funny.
I'm not surprised you're banging out Naruto like that.
Yeah.
I'm not hogging the TV playing God of War. Great
Yeah.
segue. You're welcome.
Ooh. Yeah. We'll come to that later. We'll come to God of War later, because we want to touch on you. You said you watched on the plane Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that's the way you say it, whichever way around the wording is. Which is a sick film. If you haven't seen it, like please go and watch it. And also, if you haven't seen it, massive spoilers in this episode.
Yeah,
But you've had
yeah.
like
That.
all summer, basically, like from like it came out in like June or May or something, didn't it? So
Oh, really?
yeah, it came out ages ago. It came out around the same time as Multiverse,
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. You're right. It did. Wow.
which was
Wow.
May,
I'm
wasn't it?
late to the party. Yeah.
Very. But I'm glad you are, because like it's a great party to be in.
Better late than never.
Right.
Um.
So
Uh,
so hit me, man. Like what stood out for you? Like what was a key learning or something that struck you from the movie?
so I feel like there's so much going on, as the name might suggest. Um. This woman who the film is based on, Evelyn, she's really in her head, and I think all of us can relate to that. It's Yeah, but I had this conversation with someone and they said, "Yeah, I'm really in my head." I was like, "Where else are you gonna be except for your head? It's not a trick question." And she was like, "Shit, I don't know." All right, well that's a great place to start. And what I saw with Evelyn in the movie, there is nowhere else for her to be except for in her head.
Mm,
And in her head, possibility is like this. And she gets an invitation to explore possibility as the movie goes on. And until it's like everything is possible, that's exhausting. However, if everything's possible, I can have a lot of fun with that.
mm,
And another part was like, if everything is meaningless, if everything is meaningless, and the truth of living is that nothing has any meaning and nothing matters, which I believe is capital T truth. Thoughts and feelings are meaningless. Some moments you've had with people are meaningless, and not this doesn't have to be. Oh my God,
doom and gloom.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be. It could be freedom, because things don't exist in the world with meaning on them as they are. We have to assign it. And if that's the case, I'm going to assign whatever meaning serves me the most. And I love that she came to this point of total freedom by really embracing and leaning into, oh shit, nothing has meaning. Great. Like, I'm free. And I love that part where her and her daughter are rocks just overlooking
Mm.
some scene. And her daughter's like, no, that's not how you be a rock. Leave me alone. And she chases after her. And it's like her daughter is consumed by the negativity that can come with finding out everything's meaningless. And in millions and millions and millions of possible universes, um, that's always the case. And yeah, that could be true for some people. This is what I was writing in my book. I fell into the trap of nihilism for years. Nihilism, like doom and gloom,
Mm.
everything's meaningless. So what's the fucking point? Well, the flip side of that, which I see, so her daughter's on that nihilism thing. Evelyn's on freedom, possibility, and I'm choosing love. It's not an inherent. I met this guy in Mexico one time. I was playing chess with him. I whipped his ass. Like,
Hmm.
I wasn't even giving him a chance. I fucked his shit up so good. I loved it. I loved every minute, but I'm a super competitive person sometimes. So I whipped this motherfucker at chess here, and he was like, "How you so good?" I said, "I'm not actually that good." And I know I toot my horn sometimes. I'm not actually that good. Anyway, he goes, I said, "Do you have God in your life?" Because we got to talking. He goes, "No." I said, "Is there a reason?" He goes, "Yeah, I just can't believe in it. I mean, I'd like to." I was like, "Are you sure you'd like to?" Yeah. He goes, "Yeah, I would." I said, "Why?" And he told me these benefits. I go, "All right, choose it." But science. You're choosing to believe in science, which is you can't 100% definitively prove stuff. Like what goes up must come down. You can prove the
Mm.
shit out of that, yeah, 100%. But outside of certain things, you can't have definitive proof. And when we were talking about choosing, it comes back to Evelyn. Like she's choosing to live into what her meanings on things are, and she's associating a meaning that works for her and empowers her. Whereas her daughter is like, everything's
Mm.
meaningless.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line, isn't it, between the two? It's like, well, I'd say that they're two sides of the same thought. The thought is everything's meaningless, So one side of the thought is freedom, and the other side of the thought is, right, everything sucks. And I noticed that in my life, it's like coming from that place of like, what's the point in all of this? Like, what's the point? Like, fuck everything. Like, I'm miserable. What's the point? To like, seeing that, okay, everything's meaningless. I can have fun with that. To like, oh, everything's meaningless. Like, what's the point in anything? Like, this is fun. Like, it's the same thought, but there's like two ways to experience it, or there's probably multiple ways to experience it. But in this instance, right? And I've really seen how my perspective has changed on life through choosing which side of that I want to experience life through. And there is a choice in that. There is a choice in like, oh, okay, cool. Like things don't look like they're going my way. Doesn't mean I have to be negative about it. Oh man, listen to this. Yeah, so one of the episodes that I was that I was editing from the transcription of the podcast the other day was the episode I recorded after we went on the immersion last year. So in November 2021. And there was this sick thing that I wrote down in my notebook that our mentor Keith said. He did a session as part of the retreat. And he said this thing that there's nothing about a negative feeling that can keep you in that feeling of negativity. There's nothing about a negative feeling that can keep you in that feeling of negativity. And it's like what he's pointing at is like, yeah, like sometimes stuff is going to appear negative to you, but it doesn't mean it has the power to keep you in the negative feeling, because it's just the feeling, and the feeling's going to pass because it's temporary. And it's like I realized in my life, like looking at this thing of like, oh, what's the point in everything? It's like I was choosing to see the negative side of that, and I was allowing that negative feeling to apparently have some power over me. But when I saw that it didn't actually have any power over me, it couldn't keep me in a negative feeling, then I became free. And I think like that's what you see in the movie with Evelyn, is like she is like at the beginning of the movie, she's a bit like, oh, my life's crap, and there's like whatever going on, and I can't really remember the details, but it's a bit like doom and gloom. She's got like all of those bills that she's trying to sort out, and the shop might get closed down and all this stuff. And then when she starts to see like, oh, none of this really matters, it's like her brain just opens up and she starts seeing possibility in everything. And that's like her journey, isn't it, really?
And also, I love that it comes back to being as usual. Who's she being for the tax lady? You know, the chick that's investigating their taxes. She's getting fed up with them. She's like, look, guys, this got to stop, etc., etc. By the end of the movie, she's connected to her.
Yeah.
Because who Evelyn is being is totally different. And the woman who's investigating them stops the police from doing anything about it, doesn't like press charges or anything, and is just with her. Because who Evelyn is being is someone who's creating connection rather than using circumstance as an excuse to limit their power in the world. And this is a great thing. I had a conversation with someone recently. I said, the definition of power is how much choice do you have available to you? If you're powerless, you see that you got no choice. Yeah, how about that? Let's you know what? Let me rewind, wheel up that motherfucker. You know what? Shit! How I just hit my knee on the table. That's how excited I got. The definition of power is how much choice do you have available to you? Wow. I don't know if I made that up or
one more time for the people then.
The definition of power is how much choice do you have available to you. If you're powerless, it means you got zero choice. But you see, that's the thing. You see that you have zero choice, and what you see could always be different. And man, like your looking eyes and your seeing eye are totally different, right? Seeing, I have no choices. Looking, your circumstance could tell you that you know, I'm looking at my choices, don't look like I got much available. But if you see things differently, and your mind's eye is creating what you see. So I've got this random example here, and this is the case for my headphones. Now, I could just see this as headphones case. It's pretty legit, you know, got a lot of good stuff going on in here. I could see this also as I could put some other stuff in here.
Carry your bananas in that bad boy.
Almost. There you go. Probably one. You know, this could hold the microphones, can hold a bunch of things. It's the same with us. You know, I talked to someone today who said, I want to make significant money from what I love doing, you know, as an entrepreneur. I just don't see that it's possible. But when they're looking out into the world, other people are doing it. And I think this is just, it comes back to like what Evelyn starts to see as possible totally shifts. And I love
Mm.
the, I cried for like 5 times while watching this movie, man. My eyes were burning by the end of it. Um, she goes, her husband's like super gentle and like loving and fun and like a vibrant, like childlike energy. And she goes, I'm going to fight like you. And she starts like fighting people, but with love. So like
Mm.
defending herself and then like giving them love, and it changes like the fight. And it's, he goes, we just need to be kind to each other. That's it. That's all it is. And I think there's a tremendous power in kindness, because power in kindness, what does that mean? Based on the definition we just had, kindness opens up more choice for you. Look at the
Mm.
kindness that Evelyn extends to the tax chick. It opens up thousands of choices, because now the tax lady is like, you know what, me and you aren't so similar, aren't so different. You know what? Don't worry about the tax thing. I'll help you. But if you're not being kind, like, no choices.
Yeah, yeah. And do you know what? There's I think it's more towards the end of the movie, right? And I think it's like the thing that I really got from it is that we are infinite potential, right? It's what I was saying earlier. We are infinite potential in all moments. End of. we that's all we are, if anything, is infinite potential, and then we create a personalized version of reality on top of that. But we're still using that infinite potential to create that. And I think that there's a moment in the movie where like Evelyn, you know, when it's like literally everything is happening all at once, like the title of the movie, there's that like mad scene where it's just like, and then she has this like epiphany type, you know, enlightenment moment where she's like, oh, what? So like I can choose how my life is going to be. And she starts stepping into that power of like choice, like what we're saying, right? She starts stepping into it, and she starts creating a different way of being. She starts creating herself differently. She starts creating the way that she's receiving other people, like the tax lady and her husband and her daughter and whoever else is in the movie that I can't remember. She starts creating them differently in how she's seeing them, and then they start responding differently to that. And it's like all she's doing is tapping into that infinite potential and broadening that or unshackling the limitations that she had in place. And now she's more open to the infinite potential, and she can just create and show up in a different way. It's like she you know, she unshackled her stories and her beliefs and her ideas about herself and the world and how life is and circumstances and what have you. And then all that came through was just like love for a start, connection. And then from that, she started to create a very different experience of life. And that's like, how true is that for us, man? Like as humans, like there's such beauty in that to me. Like I don't think we really, well, we kind of do because it's kind of what we do, right? But I think generally speaking, we don't really give ourselves the time to fathom that that we are infinite potential in any moment, you know, because we're too busy like with our shackled stories and our beliefs and our ideas about and our views on the world and our perceptions and, you know, circumstance and whatever. You know, our interpretation of everything is comes down to that view that we have. Whereas when we unshackle that view, infinite potential, we can see any event and interpret it in a different way, completely different way. We always can. And that's the choice we have, and that's the power we have.
I've realized
Unpack
how
that one, Chief.
I've, based on what you just said, I'm realizing over the last couple of weeks how closed off I am to a lot of things. Now you're talking about unshackling. I'm shackled down like a motherfucker in a lot of areas of my life. Um,
Name one.
One would be I'm closed off to other like healing modalities. So, for example, what we do, I put it up here. This is the best, and that's it. There's no room for interpretation around that. there's no room for other things could be really effective. And I'm noticing how closed off I am to that not being true. Because when people talk about, like, for example, like, this makes me feel that, I'm like, no, it doesn't. You make you feel that. This isn't. I'm closed off. I'm not open to hearing stuff like that. Even though I
Mm.
can see it's a misunderstanding, I don't actually hear people. So what I did recently was someone was telling me about why they, what was it? Something about social interaction. They were saying why they don't want to do it, and I was like, all right, cool. And instead of being closed off to it and me thinking, oh yeah, it's not the social interaction, it's you. I was just really listening. I'm like, oh, that sounds like it's difficult for you. And that was that. We didn't even get in. This wasn't a coaching session. It was just someone I was talking to. And we didn't get into it. I didn't say anything about it and just left it at that. And the unshackling for me is this thing I've got about arrogance. Like, I know stuff. The ultimate obstacle to learning is arrogance. And when I think I know stuff, that's why I'm talking about arrogance. A lot of people have said, "Oh, you're so humble to me lately." I'm like, yeah, because I'm trying to be, like, oh, excuse me, I'm choosing to be after a lifetime of I know, and still I've still got I know running the show. That rhymes.
The thing with that is there's so many areas of our lives where we're still shackled, right? Like, I see it all the time. Like, I'm definitely shackled in like how I see, certain relationships, or the same, like, same as what you said. I'll dismiss certain healing modalities because I'm like, hey, yeah, no, but this stuff's way better. Or, you know, I don't want to hear, I'm not open to, I don't know, watching certain things or like certain sports, or I don't know. There's just like a bunch of stuff, right? You can sit here and list it for days, right? But it, I think that the most important part is coming from understanding. Like, and one of the things I've been playing with this week is like, it's quite fun actually. Like, when I have a call with someone and it's the first time I'm having like a proper call with them, I just say, cool, tell me about you. That's it. And then just let them talk at me for like 15-20 minutes, because like, for me, like, it's really great because I get to see a picture of, firstly, who the person is in front of me, and the way that they're living their life, and what they're doing and what's brought them to this point. And secondly, I get to see the view in which they see themselves. And that's it. That's a great place for me. I have a shit ton of context now over the person who sat in front of me, and I'm able to connect on a deeper level from that place of understanding and context. Whereas if I'm just seeing him as like, no, this is this person, and here's all the things that I know, and I don't need to know anything about you, there's something I'm missing. There's a piece missing. And the piece, Piece, this time, is the understanding, because I'm coming in with like a bag full of I know, instead of an
Hmm.
empty bag of like, hey, fill this with me.
Yeah, and it speaks to why we've both struggled to make money as coaches in the past. Because we're not hearing people to, like, oh yeah, fill the bag, tell me about you. We've got a full bag and emptying on the table, like, right, this is what you can take from me, this is how much it will be, or whatever. We're coming in with an agenda. I was talking to
Mm,
someone who's been really struggling to create money as a coach, and I said, yo, like, have zero agenda except help people. And she's like, oh, this conversation has been so helpful. I'm like, yeah, have you noticed I didn't say anything to you about working with me?
mm,
Have you noticed that? She said, yeah. Like, do you know why? Why? Because my agenda here is to help you. That's it. Leave it
mm,
at that. And if you want more, I'm sure you'll ask me for more. I might ask you, do you want to continue? But the agenda is just help. And I think it's quite difficult to have an agenda of just help when you've got the knowing of, yeah, but I've got bills to pay. I won't have a successful business if I'm just giving my time out for free. This is why I would love to come back to my granddad. My granddad,
mm.
like, he annoyed my dad so many times, and my dad was telling me recently, if you know what my dad is like, you know how he would have said this. My dad goes, I was so annoyed with my dad sometimes. Like, he would be spending 45 minutes with old ladies having tea and giving them free food. Like, he'd just made a fresh batch of something in the back, and he's going out giving it to people, for the staff for free, random people for free. And my dad would be sitting like, why are you doing this? we need help with other things or whatever. And my granddad was like, just stop it, all right, relax. But the business would be booming all the time, and I think it's great for it's a great role model for us. If we're putting this podcast out for, oh, do you know what? This is what I wanted to mention. I went on a date recently, a nice segue in it. I went on a date recently, and the girl that I went out with, she showed her friends. They asked her, "Who are you going out with?" And she showed them like my Instagram, and she said, "Oh, this guy, he's a life coach." And they were like, "Why is he giving out all of the information for free? Like, isn't that what you should be charging for?" And she asked me, like, "Yeah, why do you do that?" And I said, "Think about it. If the free is good, the paid is going to be even better." And that's one thing. And secondly, like, it's encouraging people to, hey, come and hang out with me. If you liked the Instagram thing, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this. And yeah, just it's a beautiful way to be in the world.
I know, and also I think like the other thing is like, if it's helpful for you and that's it, cool. Like I always said, like when I started my podcast, I always said like if one person listens, one person, and they get something from that one episode they listen to, and that's it. I was like, that's job done.
Sorry, saying that you like to be modest sometimes, and I don't. I'm gonna be a stand for people understanding who they're talking about or to or listening to. Can you share what you shared on Facebook recently with the listeners, with our audience? Because I don't think it's not a normal. It's definitely not a normal thing, is it?
No, it's not. I was going to say it could be, but it's not. So I did the so it's that time of year where you get your Spotify Wrapped, and obviously you get your like music list and all that. But as a creator, as a podcaster, they do a Wrapped for your podcast around your stats for the year. And so I did mine, and like I can't remember all of the stats that came out, so I try and just reel a few off the top of my head. The one that stood out the most to me is that my podcast was in the top 5% of most shared podcasts on Spotify,
All
which I was
right,
like, ooh,
let's pause for a second. Top 5% of the most shared podcasts ITW
yeah,
in the world.
yeah,
Let's
yeah,
let Mate, like, I'm only saying this so that people take on, not as this isn't about us, but when we see achievements or things that we've created, do we bathe in it? Often we don't. So
no,
that's a huge thing. Top 5% of the most shared podcasts in the world. That's definitely not normal.
no, mate, I was gassed to be honest. And then the other one was it'd been listened to in like 60 something countries, 61, 62 countries. Mate, I couldn't even name you 62 countries. I'd probably get to about 30 and I'd struggle from there. Like maybe we'll do that as a podcast episode one day. That'd take a while. That'd be fun. And then, yeah, the other thing is that this year, the podcast hit like 350,000 downloads over, yeah, 270 something episodes or whatever. I can't work out the maths, but so yeah, man, it's like that's like a really cool thing to reflect on, because I always say to people, like, I do the podcast for fun. Like the podcast doesn't make me money. There's no sponsorship on it. It doesn't generate me income in any way. It's just a fun thing that I like to do because I like to share what I'm learning, and if that can be helpful for someone, then I'm happy with that. That's, like I said, that's job done. I don't expect anything back from that. Um, and that's why I keep doing it, because it's like I like to just show up and create and share. And again, this is why we've created this podcast, right? Is because it's a place for us to just show up, have some fun, and share, and we don't want anything back for it. It's like there's not going to be like a sell at the end, like, oh, by the way, like Nerd Life Coaches, we're doing a £50 event on Zoom, and sign up now and get your Black Friday discount and all this stuff. It's like we're not trying to sell anything in it. We're just creating because we like it, and we like having these conversations. So like I think, again, like there's something in that just it's like it's coming from like a place of love, really, you know. It's like it's to me like the one of the greatest ways that I can showcase my love is just to share the stuff that I'm learning, and that's it. That's how I see it. And
And
actually, the podcast actually costs me money. You know, I pay someone to edit it. I pay someone to edit the videos, make the Instagram clips, like all of this stuff. Like it costs me money. Like that's how much I enjoy it. You know.
and also, we'd be talking about this stuff anyway, so we might as well record it and put it out for other people to listen to because it'd be fun and interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, man.
But
Um,
it's funny what you said about it costs us money to put this stuff out. Yeah, it does. And you know, one of my previous business coach, he once said to me, he goes, Sachin, why are you paying? I think it was like £20 a month or something. We were looking at how I could cut my costs. He's like, why are you paying £20 a month for this thing? I said it was for my podcast. He's like, "Just don't pay for it." I was like, no, I want to put it out there. It's only £20. Even if I make £20 profit and it goes straight on that, it's fucking worth it.
mm, it's true, man. It's so true. It's so true. Um, so tell me about God of War, man. You wanted to segue into it earlier, and I cut you short. Like you were banging it out. You I think you completed the game in like 2 weeks or something, like 10 days or something crazy.
He says something like that. About 10 days, I think. I'm going to play it through one more time because I think there's a few things I missed. But wow, what an adventure. And what a way to wrap up the story. So spoilers again, don't come for me with your hate BS. Um, this story is about fate. Is it written? Is it destiny? Do you have a choice, or is it all free will, or is it a mixture of both? What is it? And there's a part in the game where Kratos, the main character, he fights Heimdall, the guy
Mm.
who's in charge of the Bifrost or whatever.
Also
And
known as Idris Elba.
yeah, that's how I remember him. And Heimdall can see what's coming, so he's like very, very good with the fight. And Kratos throws this spear at him, and he catches it. And then there's like a power in the spear where you can detonate one, and it blows up in his hand. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then he punches him. And Heimdall's like, he can see everything that's coming before you do it. He can see intention, but he couldn't see what was going on with Kratos, and that's how he ended up beating him. And it was just insane to me, like I think we put so much stock into circumstance. We put so much stock into, yeah, but I don't know what's coming next. Even if you did, there's so much uncertainty. It can, like, from what I got from the game was like, there's lots of prophecy saying this is going to happen and that's going to happen and this is going to happen. And it's like, well, okay, that Kratos doesn't give a shit. He goes to find out the prophecies to gather information on what could happen, and he still just goes about doing whatever he wants anyway. There isn't a prophecy said this, so I have to stick to it. Whereas that's what I find a lot of us do. I'll use myself as an example. For years, I did this with entrepreneurship. Now, this is the way it should be done. Let me just follow this. No, if this is the way that most coaches are having difficulty in business, well, that doesn't have to have anything to do with me. And same with God of War. Just because they've said these prophecies are going to happen, it doesn't have to have anything to do with us. And Kratos' son is trying to prevent his dad's death because it happened in prophecy. His dad's like, fuck that. So what? We write the fucking rules. And I think it's such a good nod in the right direction. And if you die and you go to God, whoever that is for you, and they say, oh, by the way, like this is all planned, and you got to exactly where you were supposed to be, or like here's a tapestry that shows you all of the life events that you have. We wrote this before you lived, whatever. Okay, so what? Like, I think what I really got from playing the game is it is just that, like, we've got so much more agency and sovereignty over our lives and ourselves than we think we do. And the more we take our power back, again, choice, right? The more choices we have available to us. His son's worried, like, oh, like Heimdall's gonna kill you, and he's like, he doesn't have to. Just because it's shown somewhere that we're gonna fight, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna fucking die. It could mean that I go and get this new weapon made, which he did, and he got a new weapon made, and he fucked up Heimdall's shit big time. So yeah, that's why I loved it, and also like the actual gameplay is it's one of the best games ever made.
Do you know what? Like, it's so funny you say that, right? Because I was watching Naruto earlier, right? And there was an episode where, spoilers, where is it the Eno, what is it, Eno Shaka Cho or whatever, Eno
Ino
Shaka
Shika Cho.
Shika Cho, Eno Shikamaru and Choji, they go and try and capture the the nine-tail chakra from that dude, and I think it's Shikamaru's dad is speaking to them through like whatever, like the what's the word I'm looking for, through like mind
Telepathy.
teleported telepathy. That's it, yeah. And he says this sick line, yeah. They're like, oh my god, I'm scared, like the legend is that this guy like nearly killed the second Hokage, like he must be super powerful. And Shikamaru's dad says like something like legends get exaggerated over time. When you are willing to like go beyond the legend, you're able to then create a new legend for yourself. And I was like, yeah, that's it, man. That's like, it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, yeah, like things might look like, oh, they're going to be this way, or they like this is the destiny or whatever. But like, if you're willing to go beyond that, you can create your own destiny. You're the master of your own destiny. That's it. And by the sounds of it, I haven't played God of War, but by the sounds of it, like that's a really strong message that comes through. Is like you can be the master of your own destiny, and
Yeah.
that is such a powerful possibility to live into.
It's the same with Mortal Kombat. This game is all about choose your destiny. That's what they said in the Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, 4, Armageddon, Deadly Alliance. It's all being said. Choose your destiny. Choose it. It's a fucking action. Not, oh, it's destiny, it's just gonna happen to me. If you wait around passive and doing nothing, yeah, stuff happens to you. But if you go and choose, yeah, it unfolds in the way you want it to. Like we run businesses, right? Things happen every day in a business. Like someone said they'd pay and they wouldn't. Do you want that to be like, well, it's just written in the cards? I mean, or do you want to look at possibility? All right, hey Derek, you said you wanted to come. Is everything okay? Yeah, it is. I just don't want to come anymore. No worries. Put the phone down. Or love, great. What do I want to create now? I've got a space open for something. Like
Mm.
it's possibility. Whereas a lot of people I said this to someone recently. I said, don't come to my intensive in March if you're going to show up defeated before it already starts. He goes, oh, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to come there. I'm going to feel good for a couple of weeks and then it's going to die down. I'm like, well, you're creating that. Don't come if you're going to have that attitude. You're showing up defeated in all areas of your life before you've even considered what could be possible for you. And I think that's the whole thing with destiny, man. Like it can be such a, we're talking about everything everywhere all at once being like about nothing has meaning and you got choice. If it's choose your destiny, I'm going to choose the most empowering, powerful story about myself that I want to live into. And again, I'm writing my book, right? I'm seeing it more and more like, wow, all of this crazy stuff has happened to me. I chose to make it mean this. That's the narrative around my life. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and that's it, man. Fun is a key word there, right? It's like a fun thing to live into, and it's like a lot of people, and for a lot of my life, I had like the thing of like, oh, when I get to that point, that's when I'll be at peace, and that's when I'll be happy, and that's when there was a lot of winning going on, like when. But when I saw like actually fulfillment is in the now, it's in the present. From that place, the infinite potential that we were talking about a moment ago, that's where you can create your own destiny from, because you're creating it from infinite potential. You're not creating it from limitation. You're not creating it from, oh yeah, but things are going to be this way because of that, or because this thing happened in the past, or because of this other experience, or because of this is just how I am, or any of that. It's like you're creating it from infinite potential. So you're always creating it from nothing. You're creating from zero all the time. You're creating from a freshness and a newness all the time.
I got a message from one of my best friends, Mariana. With zero context, she goes, "How fresh?" Because she heard the audio of me talking about Keith saying fresh and new.
Yeah, nice.
Wow. Speaking of fresh and new, one of the things that I've been experiencing while I'm out here in sunny Arizona is just how like a lot of people reinvent themselves when they travel. And they use travel as an opportunity to explore a different part of themselves or create a different part of themselves that they don't usually express on a day-to-day basis. And I feel like when I travel, I'm the same across the board. Like when I'm traveling, when I'm at home, I'm not really different. But that wasn't the case last year. And last year I got to explore the international playboy side of, or create that myself as that, and it was absolutely exhausting. And I do not want to do it again. The freshness that I'm seeing now is there's just there's such a safety in knowing that I'm not going to be different if I travel. There's like this peace, Peace, that comes with. I like how we're having to define that now. There's this peace that's just there. Like wherever I go, there I am. I could create clients here. I could go talk to every single person in this hotel if I wanted to, and go and start doing stuff. It's a very fresh thing because I didn't have this last year.
Mm. You asked me the other day, didn't you? Like, are you gassed to travel anymore? And I was like, yeah. But because I'm not coming from that place of like, oh my God, like traveling is like, it's going to complete me. Like, my life's going to be better when I travel and all this stuff. It's coming from a place of like, do you know what? My life's pretty great as it is. Like, if my life wasn't to change from today for the rest of my life, I would be gassed. Like, I would be so happy with that because I'm so happy internally. And I feel like that would be the case in any scenario. So instead of me going out and trying to find the happiness and the peace in traveling, I'm bringing the happiness and the peace with me. And that's what I'm gassed about, is because I know, like, we're planning to go to India in February, and I've got a bunch of other trips planned for next year in 2023, that I'm going to be bringing that happiness and peace with me. And that's exciting. That's so exciting. Like, I'm going to be going to visit some of my family in Australia, like meet the like young kids that have been born since the last time I've gone there. I'm so gassed for that because I'm going to be bringing so much happiness and peace to that. Whereas last time I was there, it was like, oh, I feel peaceful because I'm in Australia. I feel peaceful because I'm watching the sunset on the beach. Whereas like now I'm bringing that peace with me. And that's a game changer, bro. That's like a proper game changer.
Speaking of sunset, I've been like antsy, like the opposite. I've been stressed out looking at sunset, so it can't be the fucking sunset doing stuff to us. And I love this. Like, I was on Tinder recently, and I was looking at what people have in their bios, and there's a lot of women that are saying like, if you don't want to travel the world with me, like this isn't gonna work. And look, I don't have anything against travel. I'm here, right? I'm gonna go to India. I've got like Japan trip planned at some. I don't have it planned, but I'm gonna go at some point again. I'm not against it. I'm just wondering, like, what is it that's making people want to go? And from a real curious place, I just ask people sometimes, why is travel important to you? And the conversations, the responses I get are super interesting. Some people just say, I want to shake up my day to day. I want to go somewhere different and see how people on the other side of the planet live, and take that with me and change my way of living, which is great. I'm all behind that. But if it's like, hey, you should do it to become more of something, yeah, it's a misunderstanding. I don't want to live my life like that, bro.
I hear that, man. I hear that. So any final words of wisdom before we experience you as a different human after your session with Steve?
No, I'm good. I worked out today, and they had these like weighted exercise balls in their gym, and I thought they were the heavy ones that you could smash it down on the floor and then it stays on the floor. But I smashed it down on the floor, and it bounced into my chin, and it really hurts. Like, it hit my head, it hit my AirPod out of my ear, and it banged me in the chin. And I was like, wow, okay. So that woke me up a little bit. If spending time with Steve is going to be anything like that, I think I'm prepared for it. But on a real one, no, I don't know. I'm like I said before, I've achieved things that I've been wanting to do for years, and I feel like this now is going to be stepping into a whole different world of what's possible for me, because I'm already like, I've got a great relationship with my mom and dad. I've got awesome clients that it feels like family, not people working in a business. and my life is exactly how I want it to be. So to see what's now possible after this that's really what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, love that, man. And if you take anything away from this episode today, make sure you test the weighted balls in the gym before you slam them on the floor.
At least bounce it once, right?
Just to see what happens.
And it was hard as well. It was like a fucking cricket ball. Jeez, I think I can't see it properly because I got a beard. But like I looked at myself in the mirror, I like opened up my beard like this, and I could see there's like a big red mark underneath.
Oof. Wow. I love that. That's so funny. But yeah, like if you're watching this or listening to this, and you've got anything from this episode, come hit us up, man. Like drop us a comment if you're watching the YouTube. Come find us on Instagram at I am Alex Manzi. At what's your one again?
Sachin's Insights.
Yeah, we don't know what the Nerd Life Coach's handle is going to be just yet, so we won't drop that. Maybe we'll include it at the bottom of the video right here. Come let us know what you got from this episode, and we'd love to, just chat about it more, man. That's what we do, innit? We like to have chats with people.
All we do is hang out with people. That's what our days and weeks look like. Just more and more hanging out with people.
That's it. Cool. Catch you guys in the next one.
Peace and love.